The heavy leather straps of the execution chair are literally straining to the breaking point. The lethal injection plunges into Robert Kurtz's veins. Now, this is supposed to be the end of a notorious serial killer, right? But instead of his heart stopping, his body begins to violently convulse. The chamber just echoes with this sickening sound of bones cracking and flesh tearing, because those lethal drugs are colliding with something deeply hidden in his bloodstream.
It's absolutely horrifying. Those execution chemicals react catastrophically with secret biological mutagens that Robert had been hiding in his system. His body doesn't just fail, it radically reorganizes itself. We're talking muscle swelling to impossible, grotesque proportions, his face completely distorting. The aging butcher literally mutates right before the eyes of the terrified guards into a gargantuan, hyper-strong humanoid pig monster. I mean, no way you could prepare for that. The scene inside that execution chamber turns into a complete bloodbath. The newly mutated beast just snaps his restraints like they're tissue paper. He immediately slaughters the entire execution team using unimaginable brute force. Panic instantly spreads like wildfire. Alarms are blaring, and the beast smashes his way straight into the cell blocks. It triggers this massive, chaotic prison riot that turns a high-security state penitentiary into an absolute slaughterhouse.
Okay, let's take a breath for a second, because to truly understand this horror, we have to look at the man behind the monster. And the tragic irony here is just deeply unsettling. Think about Robert Kurtz before all this, a quiet, simple, devoted father who loved his wife and his young daughter Rebecca more than life itself. Contrast that with the absolute monstrosity he became. You know, this wasn't a man born evil. This was a man completely dismantled by the sudden accidental death of his family. He was just crushed by suffocating grief, totally unable to accept the finality of that loss.
So, what does this all mean? Well, his fractured mind made him desperate. He didn't just accidentally stumble into mad science. No, he actively chose to abandon all his morals. He made a deliberate, terrifying deal to obtain a highly infectious viral strain known as the blue substance. And his goal? He actually believed he could use this highly volatile mutagen to literally reconstruct or basically clone his dead daughter.
Now, these villains do not operate in a vacuum. As you'll probably remember from our previous explainers diving into the horrors of Evil Nun and ice cream, there's a massive web of connections here. Robert utilized the exact same mysterious underground cult network tied to Eagles Junior High and Sister Madeline. He actually leveraged her shadowy connections to acquire that blue substance, fueling his dark biological experiments right from the comfort of his own home.
And that home underwent a truly terrifying domestic transition. Taking on the moniker of Mr. Meat, Robert used his professional butcher business as a completely normal-looking front to kidnap innocent locals. The sheer logistics of it are chilling. He retrofitted a standard suburban house with complex mechanical padlocks. We're talking secret basement laboratories, blood-soaked harvesting rooms. He even kept pens for aggressive hogs that were fed on human remains. It was literally a fortified trap, designed entirely to harvest organs and physical essence for his twisted cloning experiments.
This brings us to the true crime timeline of his downfall. The whole nightmare really escalated when he abducted a young girl named Amelia, intending to make her his ultimate test subject. But thankfully, this got the attention of a super resourceful investigator named Anthony. Over a really tense few days, Anthony managed to breach the claustrophobic puzzle box of a house, completely outmaneuvered the psychopathic butcher, solved the environmental locks, and finally rescued Amelia. This heroic act is what exposed Robert's entire operation, leading directly to his swift arrest, his trial, and ultimately that fateful death sentence.
Section 1. The Prison Nightmare, Flesh and Rust. But as we know, the lethal injection was really just the beginning. We're shifting gears now into high-stakes, fast-paced survival horror.
Let's dive into this dark psychological twist, because years have passed since the prison fell, and Robert's obsession with a lost daughter found a new, deeply tragic target, his actual estranged surviving daughter, Rebecca, who is now a young woman. The ultimate irony here is just agonizing, isn't it? The madness born entirely from the grief of losing a daughter is the exact same madness driving him to relentlessly hunt down, trap, and infect the absolute only family he has left.
Rebecca and a group of her friends bravely decide to confront this nightmare head-on by infiltrating the abandoned correctional facility. But the environment they walk into is pure terror. The viral infection has spread absolutely everywhere. The prison guard dogs, they're now vicious mutated beasts. The hallways are this decaying maze of flesh and rust. And Robert, wielding a massive industrial meat cleaver, has already captured Rebecca's friends, trapping them in active electric chairs and gas chambers.
The completely shattered logic driving this monster is terrifying. As Rebecca is navigating the prison, she actually finds her father's final mutated diary entries, and they reveal this totally warped psychological justification. In his monstrous mind, he isn't torturing her. He genuinely believes that by hunting her down and forcefully subjecting her to the viral mutagen, he is saving her. He honestly thinks this horrific biological assimilation is the one and only way to finally reunite their broken family forever.
We are in a massive race against time now. To survive, Rebecca has to execute a flawless plan. First, she has to scavenge deep into the facility for old family relics and chemical components. Then, she's got to bypass the automated defenses by sabotaging the prison's main electrical grid. Third, she has to actually turn the prison's own environmental traps against the hulking beast hunting her. And finally, she has to trigger a localized destruction sequence to literally blow the facility wide open, so she and the survivors can escape in a heavily armored vehicle. Talk about intense.
Section 2. The Keplerians Trilogy, Grief and Madness. Let's look at the aftermath and see how this all fits into the bigger picture.
As we summarize this complete Keplerians Universe trilogy in today's explainer, I want you to consider the ultimate trinity of terror: Sister Madeline, Rod Sullivan, and Robert Kurtz. They are truly mirror images of each other. We're talking about three completely ordinary people whose minds were utterly destroyed by grief. Madeline sought divine control, Rod sought frozen perfection, and Robert, he sought flesh and blood resurrection. Their unchecked obsessions, fueled by underground cult science, birthed three incredibly distinct industrial nightmares of fear, frost, and flesh.
Which leaves us with this final, truly haunting thought. It wasn't the blue substance that created Mr. Meat, not really. It was the devastating loss of his family. When love and loss are twisted by cult influences and forbidden science, they create the ultimate monsters. It really makes you wonder, in this universe, is the true root of evil the supernatural virus, or is it simply the human inability to let go? I want you to think about that, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.